Did Digger from Moonshiners get busted? His craft is definitely risky. Those who watch Discovery's Moonshiners know Eric Digger Maines and Mark Ramsey are BFFs and business partners. And, as the title of the series suggests, their profession is making moonshine, which, in case you didn't already know, happens to be illegal. Isn't it pretty much a guarantee that they'll get arrested? Plenty of viewers have pointed out how bizarre it is for Digger and Mark to be starring in a show that features them breaking the law. Ever since the show started airing in 2011, people have wondered how the heck they weren't deliberately incriminating themselves by airing their illegal activities. And lately, the question on everyone's mind seems to be, did Digger get busted? Let's take a look at what he and Mark have said about the legality of moonshining and whether the rumors are true. Allow me to clarify. Plenty of legal distilleries distribute moonshine across the US, but making this liquor at home is illegal. Obviously, though, that doesn't stop people from doing it anyway. Digger learned the craft under the late legendary moonshiner Popcorn Sutton and continues to practice the craft to this day. It's authentic, Mark told the HSV TV in 2017. What we do, we can't permit ourselves to be found by the law, because it is very much against the law. Apparently, Moonshiners typically begins filming in April when there are plenty of leaves on the trees, in order to help conceal the illegal distilling. The fact of the matter is when it's on TV, it's already done, Mark told HSV TV. If police aren't involved in the recording process, they can't use that against us because they don't know that that's liquor coming out of the still. It's worth noting that Digger and Mark work with a legal moonshine distilling company called Sugarlands Distilling Company, which is located in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. However, they could still get busted for the moonshining they do outside of that at any time. As for law enforcement, we don't know where we stand, Digger explained. We wonder every day if this is the day they're going to knock on our door. Unfortunately, yes, Mike and Digger have been caught illegally moonshining before. During a segment of Moonshiners, believe it or not, Mark and Digger shared that they had been renting a warehouse to make moonshine during the winter months. It was located right next to one of the finest limestone springs we know of, according to Digger. They were inside the building one day when they heard knocking on the door. And then the bam, bam, bam. You know how a metal garage door sounds. It scared the piss out of you, Digger explained. Mark recounted. When the door raised and we saw who it was, I gotta tell you, all the wind went out of Mark's self. We opened the door there, and there the chief of police is with 2 officers. And you don't really know what to do. You automatically think the worst. We're guilty by association. Digger added, you don't think? Well, can I run? Because they've got you. They're watching all corners of the building. Digger continued, we've had little brushes with the law many times. We're a country town, but our law enforcement officers are top shelf. They're sharp, and they're country folk too. They think like we do, so they know what we're doing. They know who we are. I'm certain we're being watched. So could this be the end of Digger and Mark's moonshining days? We're not in handcuffs right this second, but honestly, we don't know at this point what our future holds. Mark said. Digger added, we know what we're doing. There's a risk, and it doesn't keep your heart from falling to your shoes. But if you live in fear all your life of something bad happening, you're going to stay at the Dan house and never accomplish anything. Because production of the moonshine happens deep in Appalachian woods, and Discovery airs Moonshiners months afterward, it's nearly impossible for law enforcement to prove they're distilling illegal liquor. Well, there you have it. Both Digger and Mark have been busted moonshining, and it's not clear yet what that means for their future in the business. Did Digger from Moonshiners get busted? His craft is definitely risky. The world of moonshining is filled with stories of secrecy, high stakes, and an underground culture that has persisted for generations. While modern moonshiners may no longer operate in the shadow of prohibition, they still face the same risk and danger of being caught by the authorities. One of the more popular faces associated with this modern-day craft is Digger Maines, who gained fame from the Discovery Channel show Moonshiners. Digger, along with his fellow moonshiners, brings the ancient art of making homemade liquor into the spotlight. But with his craft being so risky, the question on many fans' minds remains: did Digger ever get busted? The life of a moonshiner moonshining has the illegal and storied history in America. It gained notoriety during Prohibition in the 1920s when the production, sale, and distribution of alcohol was banned. Moonshiners continued their craft in secret, often evading law enforcement while simultaneously becoming legends in their own right. While the legal landscape surrounding alcohol production has changed significantly since then, the risk involved in moonshining remains substantial. In the case of Digger Maines, his involvement in the world of moonshining is more than just a career. It is a family tradition that has been passed down through generations. As seen on Moonshiners, Digger is not just a participant in the craft. He is deeply passionate about it. He and his fellow distillers are focused on creating high-quality spirits, blending time-honored techniques with new-age innovation. But the methods they use and the risks they take to keep their craft alive are anything but legal. In many ways, Digger's story is emblematic of the modern-day moonshiner, one who understands the potential dangers but is determined to keep their craft alive in the face of law enforcement crackdowns. But does this mean that Digger has ever been caught in the act of moonshining? Has his love for the craft led him to run afoul of the law? The risks of moonshining for anyone involved in moonshining? The risks are numerous. In the past, moonshiners had to constantly evade federal agents, state troopers, and local law enforcement officers who were on the lookout for illicit alcohol production. Today, while alcohol production laws have become more lenient in certain areas, the distillation of spirits without the proper licenses is still illegal in many states. Additionally, moonshiners still face the same risks of unsafe practices, fire hazards, and even health risks associated with unregulated alcohol. For Digger, the stakes are high. His distillation process is not just about creating a product. It's about carrying on a family tradition that has been passed down through generations. As a result, he and his team have gone to great lengths to keep their operations under the radar, all while producing some of the most sought-after moonshine in the business. It's this very riskiness, coupled with the thrill of pushing the envelope and evading law enforcement, that has captured the attention of viewers who tune into Moonshiners. The show highlights not only the craft of distilling, but also the dangers and potential consequences that come with breaking the law. This is the core tension of the show. On one hand, Digger and his team are celebrated for their skill and ingenuity, while on the other hand, they face the very real risk of being caught and fined, or even jailed. Digger's relationship with law enforcement, both on and off the show, is somewhat complicated. On the one hand, he is open about his moonshining career, and Moonshiners showcases many of the behind-the-scenes processes that go into crafting alcohol. However, on the other hand, Digger is acutely aware of the legal risks involved. In many episodes, he is shown taking elaborate precautions to avoid detection, whether by setting up his distillery in remote locations, creating hidden stills, or even using decoy operations to throw off the authorities. The show itself has occasionally sparked controversy for depicting illegal activities, leading some to question whether the cast members, including Digger, might be at risk of being busted by law enforcement. While Moonshiners producers have made it clear that the show is meant to be a docuseries and that some aspects of the production are dramatized or staged, it's important to note that there is still a certain level of risk involved in creating and airing a show about illegal activities. Despite the dramatic moments that Moonshiners presents, the reality is that Digger and his fellow distillers are constantly working to stay one step ahead of the law. This means avoiding large-scale production and distribution, keeping their operations low profile, and using every trick in the book to keep from being detected. Has Digger been busted now? The ultimate question: has Digger from Moonshiners ever been busted? To date, there have been no confirmed reports of Digger Mains getting arrested or busted for moonshining. However, this doesn't mean that he and other members of the Moonshiners cast haven't faced challenges with the law. In fact, throughout the course of the show, there are multiple instances where Digger and his colleagues find themselves on the wrong side of the law, whether it's in the form of warnings from local authorities or brushes with law enforcement. In one of the more notable moments from Moonshiners, Digger and fellow moonshiner Tim Smith were featured dealing with a close call when their stills were at risk of being discovered. Though they were never arrested or prosecuted, the tension of those moments is palpable, and it's clear that